Sometimes when working with data, it's helpful to make what we call a frequency table. For example, if we talk about Billboard Top 200 in March 2013, it talks about the 200 top-selling albums. It also tells how many weeks each album has been on the top 200 chart. So, the top 25 albums had been on the chart these number of weeks. 1, 3, 52, 26, 66, 1, 38, 6, 3, 2, 13, 15, let's stop there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's enough to get the idea. Clearly we don't have all the top 25, but the way a frequency table works is you list the number, the thing you're keeping track of, in this case the number of weeks, and then you make a tally of how many, and then the total. So if I go here, I've got the number of weeks is, actually here we're going to say from 1 to 20, 21 to 40, 41 to 60, and 61 to 80. So you just go through them. This first one is in this category from 1 to 20 weeks because it's a 1. The second one is also in that category. The third one is 52, which belongs between here, those two numbers. Then 26 belongs here. 66 belongs here. 1 belongs here. 38 belongs here. 6 belongs here. 3, now when I'm doing a tally, I put the fifth one like that. 2 also belongs here. 13 and 15. So there is a tally. There are 8 of these, 2 of these, and 1 of each of those. We can then take this information and put it into a bar graph. We have to first decide what information, these are the two things that we want to put in our bar graph. Which of these is the independent variable and which is the dependent variable? You can see that the 1 to 20, 21 to 40, 41 to 60, 61 to 80, those are pretty arbitrary, or in other words, just given things. They don't measure anything. They're sort of like spread out like this. So we're going to call that the independent variable, and that is the number of weeks. The thing that varies is how many of them are there. In other words, that's called the frequency. And in the first category, we have 8. The most we have is 8. The fewest we have is 1. So if I only have this much space from here, from 0 to there, I'm thinking that I'm going to put my interval as 2. So this would be 2, this would be 4, this would be 6, and this would be 8. So in the first category, 1 to 20, I have 8. So I draw my bar, and I put it in. In the second category, which is 21 to 40, I have 2. In the third category, 41 to 60, I have 1. I have to just sort of estimate where that is. And 61 to 80, I also have 1. So this is a frequency table. It keeps track of things. On your homework, you're going to have a frequency table that keeps track of bat lengths. And then you're going to be asked about mean, median, and mode. And in order to do that, you have to list all of them. There are 8 of these, for example, between 1 to 20, but I would have to list them all in order, beginning with 1, and then I'd have, I guess I don't have to, oh yeah, I do have a 2, then I have 3, then I have another 3, do I have any 4s? No, I have a, oh dear, I see I have another one, so that one has to go out here. 1, 1, 2, 3, then I have a 6. So you have to list them all, even though this is a total of 8. You can't count that as just one thing. 2, and then let's see, what's the next one? 13, 15, 26. What's left? Did I call that a 5? No, it's 26. So I have left 38. I have 52 and 66. So if you recall, for the mean, it's going to be the very middle one. So it's not these, it's not these, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this. It's halfway between these two. If you recall how to do that, you say 13 plus 6 divided by 2. 19 divided by 2 is 9.5. Would be the median. Okay, so the main thing that we're going to be looking at, though, is how to do a bar graph. And to do a bar graph, it's important to take data, create a bar with the interval, and display it. So I'm going to talk about, so let's say we have a kind of store in the book that I'm looking at. It's a sporting goods store. And there are two of them. They have a south side branch and a north side branch. And in they have different seasons: winter, spring, summer, and fall. And they have profits for each of these. That's what the whole thing is. So, the profit for winter is $160,000. I'm just going to round these numbers off. $160,000. Then, but for the spring, it's 153. I mean, in the south side one. This one is 194,000. Then 177 here. Okay, and then the last one, I'm going to leave off the 1, 2, 3 zeros. Then we have 289,000. Actually, I'm going to squish it in there. Then we have 251. And then we have fall of 148,000 and 157,000. 148,000. 157,000. So we need to create a bar graph for this. The first thing you need to ask yourself are, what are the different categories that we are looking at? The truth is we have a couple here. We're going to have to put this in what we call a double bar graph. In general, though, our independent category that we're going to be looking at is the seasons. Actually, I need to put that further down because I'll put that title in later. I'm going to put this information into a bar graph. And my bar graph has to have a title always. And so we're going to call it Sports Store Profits. And since the thing I'm trying to measure is profits, that means it needs to go on the y-axis. So I'm going to label the y-axis. It is the dependent variable. The profits depend on the season. Now I have 4 different seasons. I have winter. I have spring. I have summer, and I have fall. But within these, I have 2 different things. I have the north side and the south side. So what we're going to have to do when we make our bars, we're going to have to, this is north, south, north, south, north, south, north, south. This is actually called a double bar line graph. The hardest part here, though, is trying to decide at what interval we should list the y-axis. So the thing that you should do is find your biggest number. The biggest number that we have here is 289,000, or approximately, if I want to put it into big terms, would be 300,000. And my smallest number is 148,000. So what's a good way to divide the space we have? And we have to go from 0 to 300,000. And there's more than one way to do this, but I think 500,000 makes a lot of sense, because I have 5, 10, 500,000, 1. And I think I can get them all in like that, because this is 500. No, actually 50,000, excuse me, 50,000. This would be 100,000. So if I write this, 50,000, 100,000, 150. Sometimes you don't have to write the whole thing. 250, great. We get all the way up to the top. And then this top one would be 300,000. If you had more room, you could write all the numbers. I'm limited on my iPad space. So now I go back and I look at my numbers. The winter season on the north side is 160, which just goes slightly above this, while the south side is 153. So it's just a little bit. Actually, would that be where 160 would be? Because right here is 200. Yeah, that's about right. So they're not going to be very different. They're just a little bit different. And sometimes you might want to make a different color for one of those. Okay, then we go up to 194,000, which is not quite, but almost 200,000. Very close to 200,000. And then the south side has 177. Remember, this mark here is 200,000. I think I should write that. And so the south side would be 177,000. It's sort of like halfway between there. And again, I'll make the north side one red. Then I go back and I find that the next one is 289, so we're going to go almost all the way up to 300 for this. And if you have graph paper, you're going to have to be much more exact than this. And then we go to 250,000 for this. Again, it's just almost exactly there. Finally, 148,000, which is way down here, right below 150. And I'm going to make that red because that's all the north side ones. And then finally, 157. 157 is a little bit above. Actually, it should be lower than my, so that should be right about here. So this is our bar graph, and you always need to have a title. You need to have your axes labeled. You need to choose your independent and your dependent variable. Your dependent is really the thing you are trying to measure. Oops. This one is what you're trying to measure. Notice we can display the data. And hardest of all is to choose an interval that fits. You need to always start at 0, and then from 0, every single one of these spaces that you line up has to be representing the exact same amount. So you look at the range of your data and you figure out what fits, and then you have it.